This is a video on FlexiShield Cosmetic PPF, and the focus is on basic installation techniques. Be sure that the section being applied is clean, dust-free, and at room temperature. The next step is to make sure the surface has a low surface energy. This is a soapy solution that is safe for the adhesive. No solvents or alcohol. It's poured on a highly absorbent microfiber towel, and now it's wiped over the entire surface. In essence, it's polishing the area. Once the entire area has been polished, it's very important to allow it to dry for a few minutes. Once it's dried, go over all the edges with isopropyl alcohol 70%. This is extremely important as it'll help ensure a good hold on the outside. Also, do any recessed areas. A good final prep tip is to put masking tape on tight gaps. And now we're ready for install, and on large flat areas like the hood, it's recommended to use 3 installers. Spray the cap sheet with the anti-static film, remove it, then spray the surface with a soapy solution, and even, maybe, the installers to keep the dust down. Remove the liner at the top of the hood, roughly 1 foot, then anchor it onto the upper section. A good tip is to then squeegee 1/2 of the hood to make sure it's even and flat. Pick up the other side, and as one installer pulls nice and even, the other installer locks it in place. This is called a hinge, and it's always best to start at the top. Now release the entire liner, and 2 installers will hold the material off the surface at a roughly 30-degree angle, and they'll pull in the shape of a triangle. This will spread the film out and keep it from bunching up. This is extremely important due to the thickness of the FlexiShield Cosmetic PPF. So as the 2 installers hold it off the surface and pull in the triangle shape, the 3rd installer squeegees evenly from side to side. Because it's a hood, they can work 1/2, roughly 1 foot down, and repeat the exact same steps on the other side. Towards the front is always a good idea to squeegee away in a smile shape. This will keep the material from bunching up right in the center. So we shift the material towards the sides, as this is critical to avoid those wrinkles at the front. And once the middle section is complete, it's now time to focus on the sides. Because heat is now going to be added, it's a good tip to dry the surface, then add heat from the outside in. Once the film is thoroughly warmed, it's very important to feed the material into any recessed areas as opposed to bridging and jamming. This will help ensure long-term hold and a perfect finish. And note that that low-tech solution that was wiped on at the beginning allows the installers to pick the film off the surface if it tacks too quickly. This helps avoid adhesive lines, which will help ensure a paint-like finish. The key is one installer holds it off the surface while the other installer squeegees it. Be sure to keep the material low and flat, as this again helps avoid adhesive lines. So once this front section is done, now it's time to switch to the upper section. Heat is added again, and an IR heater is recommended for these areas because it thoroughly heats the film quickly and in wide areas. Then, once the film is at the right temperature, it's not stretched to the side, but simply squeegeed and sliced. It's very important to have a thin buffer on the squeegee to help the workflow, and once one side is done, the same steps can be repeated on the other side. So heat added, the recessed area fed, then the material can be squeegeed out in sections. Always be sure to squeegee at a 45-degree angle. Warm the film as necessary, as this helps relax those wrinkles. And now that the material is on the main surface area, it's time to now focus on trimming the corners and all the edges. The first step is to click the blade so it's extra sharp, and you can use a stainless steel blade or carbon, and use the index finger holding the knife to create a nice distance from the edge. This will make sure the edge is straight and that the knife stays nice and steady on the edge. The free hand pulls the material away to create nice even tension. So you can see a nice uniform edge that will be wrapped around. So once one corner section is done, go to the next corner. It's all about cutting the corner areas first, then the long flat sections. So you can see by trimming the material roughly 1 centimeter or 1/4 inch from the edge, you'll get a nice good wraparound that in many cases you won't have to go back and trim. So here the corner is cut, then the top edge. Once the excess film has been cut around on all the edges, now it's time to focus on the corners, and because the material is now just bridging past the bottom section of the corner, it's a good tip to make a butterfly cut, then heat the film and work away from the corner. This will produce wrinkle-free corners that hold for the long term. So once this front corner is done, instead of working all the way to the top corner, stop about halfway, then heat the corner, form it in just like the other one, and once this corner is done, then the outside edges can be finished. Never work to the corners, always away. And for this body line, same thing. Do the butterfly cut, heat the film to soften it, form the film away from the body line, and again this will create a smooth finish on the underside. And speaking of the underside, when possible, open the section that is being wrapped, click the blade so it's extra sharp, and always be sure to do so in a safe box. So once all the blades are fresh, now it's time to clean any irregular edges up. So here on the underside, everything is nice and straight, so no need to trim. For this side, the edge is uneven, so here the installer is cleaning it up. They're cutting directly on the surface, and only do so if you're a professional. Use a super sharp blade and a light touch, and the film comes away cleanly. And here's a very good close-up of all the corners and body lines. So you can see the nice, good, clean, symmetrical wraparound, and those corners, once the hood is closed, will look pink, but just cutting it short on the underside will help ensure very good long-term hold. And you can see it wraps around roughly 1/4 inch, especially at the front. You need to wrap this far for that good long-term hold. As you can see, every corner and body line looks exactly the same, uniform and professional. And the final two steps involve heat. It's always a good idea to go around all the edges with a heat gun to make sure they're fully sealed. Then the final step is to go over the entire area with a heat gun, or in this case an IR heater, which ensures that the adhesive is flowing onto the surface and achieves the long-term hold. And here's a shot of the final result. No adhesive lines, absolute paint-like finish, extreme strong corner game, and great body line game. It's all thanks to the solid prep at the beginning, with wiping on the low-tack solution and great teamwork of installers, keeping the material off the surface, then finishing strong by cutting the corners first and trimming correctly. For more information on FlexiShield Cosmetic PPF, to find a distributor near you, and to watch other how-to videos, be sure to go to FlexiShield.com. This has been an installation tip and trick video, proudly produced by the Rep Institute.